This week's look at the brand new Machine Robo line comes to an end with what I think is one of the most anticipated of the first wave, because there is some nostalgia for a lot of 80s toy fans in this particular toy. Even though it's technically not the same character, but you're really hoping it is, don't you? I know, I felt the same way. But hey, let's see how much nostalgia we can get out of it. Behold, Eagle Robo. This is, of course, based on the Machine Robo toy that would become Leader 1, hero of the GoBots toy line, GoBots cartoon, GoBots movie, GoBots everything, and would eventually become an easily messed up name in the Transformers Armada cartoon. But hey, this is where it all began. So Eagle Robo is an F-14 fighter done up mostly in solid gray plastic with some painted here for the die-cast parts that we'll get into in a bit. He looks phenomenal. This is an excellent representation of the jet. There's a few artistic liberties, I will admit. Some for the robot mode and some just because the designer felt like being goofy, I think. But hey, we see these vents here in the top. These are not accurate. That's for the robot mode, as well as the intakes here on the side. They might exist on some model of the F-14, but none of the examples I looked up online tended to show any of those parts. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're accurate, maybe they're not. But everything else looks exceptional on this toy. You've got a lot of panel lining all over him to give him an assembled machine look, looking quite good. Really, really, really like this look. And you have the cockpit that is fully visible through a translucent blue windshield. Everything pretty much in its place nicely. Very, very cool. You have some dark gray for missiles and such, and you have some little bits of dark gray painted in here for the rear. There's the black thrusters in the back, completely painted over. And, of course, the tail fins themselves, again, with lots of detail lines. It is not as visually interesting as, say, a Starscream or a Thundercracker, but it's bound to be much closer to the type of fighter jet you'd be used to seeing. Like, this thing looks right out of Top Gun. And aside from that, the most amazing thing to me about this toy, look at that. Look at how sleek this toy is. Like, it's absolutely amazing to me. Here, I will fold up the landing gear, which do not have rolling wheels. They're just meant to prop them up in vehicle mode. Look at this. Think of all the Seeker molds you've seen over the years that try to recreate this jet. Well, not quite this jet, but hey, recreate a fighter jet look with so much underkibble, the feet hanging out, the chest hanging off the bottom. Look at this. It's completely flat. And if I flip it over, you've even got panels that are covering up a lot of the robot detailing. And what robot detailing you can find is actually pretty flat and solid all around. This is just so well engineered, and in something that is technically smaller than the classic Seeker mold. This is about small deluxe size overall, and I have to think of like Masterpiece Starscream to come up with a toy that came even close to getting this level of just, whew. Man, I could go on for a while. I'm really just like in love with how well they accomplished this toy. So, that's the jet mode. I guess since I showed you the underside, I can go ahead and show you. He does come with a couple missiles that attach on. You can remove them if you want to. We'll go ahead and do that right now. The one thing is I'm going to go ahead and show you his display stage now instead of waiting, because I've got it in this neat little flight stand configuration this time. Now, if you haven't seen the other reviews, I'll go ahead and go through it quickly. You've got two plates that come together in the middle and can come together with other plates in the line with these hooks and slots along the side. You have 4 support struts that can be mounted vertically or horizontally, lengthwise like this, on multiple points on the shelves. Like, see, all those little slots and pegs. It's up to your imagination how they get used. You also have this piece that bridges the 2 panels, as well as 3 heavily ratcheted, very tight ratchet joints, and 2 support arms that can be used as support beams for building up stages, or in this case, as a flight stand. And I'm going to have to pull the camera back in order to actually show you this guy on the flight stage, because I want to, yes, I do want to make sure to demonstrate that it does support the weight. Now, I will say, it all kind of depends on that bridge piece and how tight it fits onto the stages. Sometimes I get a kind of loose connection. Sometimes it's tight enough to accomplish what I'm aiming for. And this time, yeah, it's doing a decent enough job. Mounts it well, stays in position, and of course, just like what you'd be more familiar with, a Tamashii stage, this is completely modular and lets me move him in any direction I want. I got him in a takeoff position right here. All well and good. I really am a fan of this. So, I love these stages. I may or may not have a bunch more on the way, just so I can start building up even bigger and bigger stages. So, that out of the way, let's go ahead and get him into his robot mode. I do have to take a couple things off here, and this is the really annoying part of him, because sometimes they are pegged on very loosely, sometimes they are pegged on very tightly. So, hang on. Freshly clipped nails, not good for this particular task. I might have to jump cut this. Yeah, I'm not going to risk my fingernails coming off the quick. Jump cut. Hooray, it's off. Why did they make this peg so long, man? Messes up everything. Alright, so, to get this guy into robot mode, first I need to disengage the wings a little bit here. They tab in to the sides, and that will allow me to get the legs folded out. They're on these weird little hinges. I'm going to have to double hinge to get them back and extend out the legs. I'm going to go ahead and transform them out completely right now, just to get them out of the way. The feet open up from the thrusters. That's always good. And the wings can, the tail fins fold back like so. A little bit tight, a little bit tight. And then the wings themselves are going to fold up and make, the outer shell of the robot mode legs, which is a neat way of actually getting rid of the wings, instead of just pasting them onto the sides or making them a big wing backpack thing. Alright, so that out of the way, it's time to deal with the torso. This gets a little bit finicky. So there's a peg here that has to be lifted up first, and then this that has to be pulled out. There's a little tab that's in here that sometimes gets stuck, so it takes a little bit of wiggling in order to actually dislodge that. And there's also little tabs that have to be unpegged from here before we can proceed. With that out of the way, I'm going to rotate these up, and that clips in like so. And with those clipped in, I can pull these shoulders out and reveal some inner detailing if it won't say stuck. Alright, with that done, the hands tucked in here, so we're going to flip them out and close that up. This is very kind of Transformers Generation style engineering, where the panels start becoming solid chunks rather than just hanging off of a toy. I actually really appreciate that. Alright, so get the arms straightened up. With that, come to the back where we can rotate this piece down, unpeg these panel pieces. This gets a little bit finicky, and I'll show you why. So these tabs have to go into these struts that connect the arms. You see the little slot in there, and then at the same time, these round pieces in the slot here have to connect to the top of his chest. So you got 4 pegs that kind of have to find their home all at the same time. It's a little bit weird. Oh, get the nose cone down to get that out of the way. Rotate these up so we can hinge them forward. Alright, let's see how fast can we actually accomplish this. Come on, if we work together, we can do anything. Alright, got one. Nope, got one, missed. This is the frustrating part of transforming him. Leader 1 didn't give me this much trouble as a kid. There we go. I lied. I never had Leader 1 as a kid. Fold that up, and behold, now we have our Eagle Robo in robot mode. This is going really long, so I have to hurry up here Of course, he does have a lot more to talk about than some of the others. Because, hey, it's Leader 1, isn't it? Well, it's kind of Leader 1. Why isn't he standing straight? Giving me problems here at the end. So, now we actually have him in his robot mode. Now I gotta readjust the camera. He's way out of frame. Alright, so, from a very sleek jet, he does come up a pretty solid-looking robot. He's a little bit svelte in some areas, but he does make a nice update of the Eagle Robo toy. Everything is pretty much there, and the detailing is pretty extensive on the guy. So, after much delay, let's go ahead and take a look at the robot mode head. You can find, yes, sadly, boys and girls, he's definitely no Leader 1. I know, some were hoping, but hey, that's how it goes sometimes. So yeah, he's got a very flight goggle and mask thing going on. You can kind of see some eyes molded in underneath, but beyond that, not so much. He does have an interesting head, I'll give him that. It's definitely not a Transformer helmet. It's very sleek and smooth, with some very nice lines going across the top. A little bit of red as well. So it definitely does not have the Leader 1 look to it, but hey, it's kind of a mistake to have expected it anyway. He is what he is. He's Eagle Robo. He does a good job of being Eagle Robo. The detailing on the top of the jet now makes sense, as it makes for a very nice looking torso, as well as some new detail on the inside of his shoulders, which does have a little swash of paint under there to darken them up and make them stand out. Very nice. He also has a lot more gray plastic showing in this mode, in light gray and not so light gray, as well as a lot more molded detail that can now be seen. Little bits of color here, a little bit of black, a little bit of red, just enough to kind of detail him out a little bit. All in all, it does have a very nice job of creating a fairly solid robot. Now, I will give him the clocker size comparison, and you will find he's probably the tallest of the batch. It's actually probably, let's see, who do I have? Oh. This is the nice thing about where my review stage is now. Everything I own is right to my right. Man, you're dusty too. So, I think perfect size comparison is going to have to be the classic Starscream. And you'll find that while he is thinner in a lot of parts, he does stack up head to head. So he is officially what I can call a deluxe-sized toy. That's pretty cool, and kind of makes me regret sending my Deluxe Classics Optimus to eBay. Because right now it'd be a really cool thing to see Optimus and Leader 1 standing together in modern toy fashion. Oh well, is what it is. So detailing works, robot size works. What else works on this guy? He's got a ball joint in the head, which is a little bit loose but still holds its pose. It's a little bit strange because his neck is very thin. It does have a hinge forward too, so you can go, oh my god, what is wrong with your head? Get back into position. Stop looking so weird. But he does have an extra little bit of hinging there if you need it. The shoulders go up and down, and they are ball jointed as well, so you do have a good range of motion in them. You have a biceps swivel, that works. You have double joints at the elbows. I always like double jointed elbows. That's 180 degrees of bend, and he didn't even need it for transformation. He just decided to have it on his own. Waist rotation works well. Thighs, nothing in the way. No hip skirts needed at all. This one. Thigh rotation works pretty well. The knees are what's going to get you, because that big wing is in the way. You might have to go vintage style in order to get the knee bend you want. And these knees are exceptionally tight. You know, anytime I try to bend the leg, it really wants to bend there, not at the actual knee joint. Like, because that's not too hindered. But, man. So, that's a little bit weird. Also, and I'll show you this, while he does have a full ankle ball joint, so that does pose quite well. He also has this going on. I really wish there was some way of rotating this up or folding it out of the way. Instead, they kept it a little bit more true to the original design. And that means that with this shape, this foot kind of has to follow in the same pattern. Which means you kind of have to keep him bent-kneed all the time in order for him to stand perfectly straight. which is a little bit frustrating, and it can limit some poses when you have to go with the shape of those tail fins. But that's probably the only major fault I can really hit him with. Other than that, the posability on him is really, really nice, and he has a lot of range in all of it. Also, he has a weapon, which you've already seen, you just don't realize it because it came off in bits. So let's get this reconnected. You'll find two long tabs that peg back together. We're not going to use them as a missile. We're going to use them as an assault weapon, something of a multiple barrel situation. Now, these are going to peg onto these little tabs here. So I can peg into one of them. Hang on. Like so. And we'll peg into the other one. Come on. Yeah. The review's not taking long enough. It's going to be uncooperative. All together forms that big weapon of his. Mount it in his hand. Looking quite good. It's a very heavy weapon. Like Machine Robo toys, I don't know if you realize, not known for their accessories. But this one manages to look pretty cool. And it's nice that rather than just one big missile cluster, which would have been easy, they actually did figure out a way of giving him a pretty hefty looking blaster unit. That's kind of cool. And it does make him very, very nice. So that, my friends, is Eagle Robo. He is, again, a $45 pickup. And he does have the die-cast in the legs and the chest, just like the others, to kind of compensate for that price. As well as what is actually some really, really nice engineering. Very nice transformation. Very good update of Eagle Robo. And, of course, he does have the display stage as well, which I might as well put in there just so you can see the whole package all at once. He does run expensive. He's almost like third-party expensive for his size. He is the biggest of them, so if it's the size you're concerned about, that's probably not going to be as much of an issue with him. And his transformation is at least interesting. So at the very least, while it might be on the pricier side, I can definitely assure you it's a very solid toy. It's a very, very good toy. And like I said, I've never seen such a good job of getting that jet into a vehicle, into like a transforming robot ever. That alone seriously puts this figure above for me. Well, Battle Robo is a little bit more fun to play with, but beyond that, exceptional job here.